Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you an insane mate in 2 puzzle. So just look at the board here. It is absolute chaos. We got like a bunch of different bishops on, a bunch of different knights on, multiple queens. Everything is chaos on the board. But surprisingly, it is a mate in 2. It's white to move and checkmate in exactly 2 moves. There's only one way to do it. So I'll give you a second. See if you can figure it out. It is absolutely crazy. It honestly tests the limits of how crazy these mate and twos can be. But while you're thinking about that, let me encourage you to subscribe if you have not already. Half of the income that I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out a lot. We also have members now, so feel free to join that if you would like to be extra special there. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I noticed, and I'm just going to go through my thinking and maybe you can tell me yours, is this black king can't go to any of these squares. Right now, the king is essentially stuck because this queen is blocking this rook is blocking this, and of course protecting the bishop. This queen is blocking all of this, and then this king, of course, is blocking a6 or e6. So great. So I thought to myself, okay, I wonder if I could just land a check, and it's like one of those kinds of mate, like a nice mate like that. Maybe I can land a check and then do something. So I started thinking about like knight moves, like knight b4. Maybe it clears the way somehow. And it doesn't. Like they take this and there's nothing I can do to make mate happen. So this is just very early thoughts, right? And you say, okay, like let's look at what I can notice. Like I noticed this knight is pinned. I noticed that my king is kind of in the way of this check. That would be nice. So maybe there's some way I could like, again, thinking fancy, like what if I put my queen here so that when they take, I can like move my queen out of the way with mate, something like that. Or take this with mate. Like, yeah, some of that stuff works, but of course, you're never forced to do it if you're black. So that's the challenge of these mate and 2 problems, is you have to try to imagine what black's response is every single move they can play back. And I'll give the answer maybe another minute or so, but just want to keep talking about the ways to think about this. So a lot of these mate and 2 problems, the first move is like a waiting move. I know that sounds crazy. So you'll notice that if you make a cool move, maybe like bishop b6 or something, just to show it, there's not a lot, or sorry, the opposite. There are a lot of moves black can make, right? They could just sack the queen for the bishop, and now there goes your mate and 2. You don't have mate and 2 anymore. You have to take this. So that kind of guides your thinking, is how do I, knowing that this is a mate and 2, how do I prevent from like these sabotage moves, like queen takes bishop or queen here? How do I prevent those types of things? And that might be where you see the answer. So that's a big hint. Hopefully you can stop right there and think about it. But you have to think, what could I do to avoid these sabotaging types of moves? And this is where it all might click for you. The piece to move is this bishop on c5. The place to move it is f8. Wow. So now why is this the cool move to share? Well, just right off the bat, I'll explain that those sabotaging moves I was talking about, well, now, if the queen gives itself up for the bishop, you can actually take this and it's mate on this diagonal, right? You just sidestepped and the king couldn't go anywhere. The king was already like completely cut off and now it's in check, and that's checkmate. So you think, okay, there are a lot of potential moves here. Like there's a lot, right? And I don't think I'm going to go through every single one. But like the queen could take, the queen could go here, the queen could go here, anywhere. There's a lot of places the queen can go. So like, let's just say again, hypothetically, let's say the queen goes here. b6. What's the winning move? Well, you can now take this with mate. You don't have to move the king necessarily, because if you move the king necessarily, that they would not be able to, that wouldn't be mate anymore in 2, mate in 3. So going back, it's just this position is absolutely insane. And recognizing bishop f8, seeing this, you go, okay, look at all these variations. What could black do? And again, there are so many moves. I'm not going to go through all of them. Let's just say they take the queen. just as an example, like what are you actually threatening? Well, this bishop cleared the way for this rook to now come into c5 and win the game. And when you left a5 to take that queen, you left defense of c5. So that's just one cool example. And the same would apply in this instance, right? If they go up the board, you can play rook c5. You could also play queen b5. Either way, the problem is that this diagonal is no longer guarded, or this line is no longer guarded. Okay, so you play bishop f8. We talked about the queen moves. So the queen can sacrifice herself. The queen can move here. The queen can do anything. Let's just say she stays in the back rank. What do? Well, this was watching over b6, and knight b6 was a mate threat. So it's kind of like a zugzwang position where this queen has to watch over these squares, and if the queen goes somewhere that's not watching these squares, I take advantage of it. So the queen can't move, and if, even in the case where you give yourself up like this, like this, I was looking at the wrong bishop, I can still take, right? That's the coolest variation, I think, at first. So bishop f8, what other moves are there? Well, if this bishop moves, again, you just sidestep, mate. So you have to ask yourself, okay, the bishop can move. We looked at a bunch of queen moves. What if the queen goes here? Well, this queen is in the line of fire between both pieces, so that's just a simple mate. Like, I think the craziest thing about this is how many different variations there are. And I think I'll ask you, which one do you think is the coolest? Because there are so many. Even like, I play bishop there, I play this, just blocking some squares up. What's the idea? Well, this square is exactly the intersection of these pieces, so I can just take this with mate. So you might ask yourself, like, every single move gives up something. So what if I move the bishop here instead? Well, this is a square that intersects this diagonal, which means I can take here for mate. Right? Even if I put the bishop here, same concept. I take here for mate. Every single move has a consequence. If I take here, well, what did that just give up? Well, the rook is no longer guarding this bishop, so I can take this bishop for mate on this diagonal. Do you see the insanity in this? It's insane. Like, I don't know what other words to use. I keep using the same few adjectives of crazy, insane, ridiculous. But just look at how many pieces are on the board. Look at how complex this is. So we talked about the rook. I think we talked about the rook. If I were to go here, for example, it's there. If I were to go here, I can still take with the queen. If I stay here and go up one, well, I just gave up this diagonal again. The same would apply to any of these. So what other moves are there? Are there any like interposing moves, like this move? Like, that's kind of a cool looking move. Blocks off this whole idea, this, all these things are blocked off. But not really, because this square is not protected enough from black's perspective. I take it for mate. So there are so many variations, and I don't think I should show many more because there are just too many. But it's amazing. It looks crazy to think that this retreating move is like the ultimate zugzwang move. That move, black has nothing. Move the queen anywhere. Just here, anywhere. Maybe the idea is, hey, if you can move your king, I could take your bishop. Yeah, but this just gave up line of sight of e5, so that's a simple mate. Everything. Everything is so cool. What about the pawn? If I take there, well, now I'm giving up defense of h5. Hopefully you see the fact that I'm not going to show every variation, but it's so cool. What about taking this pawn? Well, it's the same idea. This square was occupied by the rook, but all I needed to do is do something with this knight, right? Oops, like this. So it's incredible. I love these puzzles. When I saw this, I was like, how hard can a mate in 2 be? And then you look at this and you're like, what? This is insane. So bishop f8, did you get the move? I want to know from you, did you get it? Did you see the idea? Because it's chaos. And of course the king can't move anywhere. What other variation is there to show? Like, you move this pawn, well, that gave up control of c6, right? Yep, that's it. It's amazing. You move the pawn here, well, rook c5 is now the win because that blocks the connection between the rook and c5. I don't even need this queen. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I think I'll stop it there. The move is bishop f8, and then you can maybe tell me your favorite variation, and I'd love to hear it. Queen sack, and you just take with mate. I think that's pretty cool. But I'll let you tell me. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe, please like, do all of that great stuff. It helps us out so much. And until next time, bye.